Hello and welcome back to another episode of hashtag Screw the W2. And today we got a great guest on, Christine Shu. Actually, I just realized the title and her last name rhymes. So go figure. Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on and sharing your story. I know we connected, I think originally through Yona Weiss's what was it, CRE LinkedIn 10 or LinkedIn Challenge or something like that.
That's
So
right.
yeah,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
yeah, maybe you can just take a step back. I know we talked a little bit off camera. It's been about 2 years ago that you left your W2 job, but if you could take us back to then, what was like a typical work day for you, or was there a typical work day, or how was your day-to-day work life there?
Yes. So I'll kind of step back a little bit and just explain what I was doing. So I was in R&D. I was a research and development scientist
Okay.
in large consumer product goods companies. So I've worked for companies like Unilever and PepsiCo. Um, and it was really interesting. I have a food science degree and a background in, yeah, just kind of more technical background. Food science and packaging sciences was my minor. So it was definitely, a really great, I think it was a great background, a great degree. I really loved what I did from a technical standpoint. It's really interesting, just to understand the chemical makeup of food and how
Okay.
to mass produce it. Um, and I focused on consumer research and
Okay.
sensory science. So it's very niche, um, and very specialized. So there's not that many of us out there in the world, but really we study how people react to food products or any product really. It doesn't have to be food, and how they experience it based on their five senses.
Oh,
So
interesting. Okay. So,
yeah, it's a
yeah,
lot of statistics, psychology, some marketing, and science. So
sure.
it was pretty cool. I loved it. And it was fun. It was really fun, just kind of studying all of that. It's very different. But what I didn't love as much was the corporate culture.
Yep, I could go on hours for that, but yeah. and maybe
Yes.
and maybe that kind of feeds into the next topic, and maybe there was a single one, or maybe there's a series of ones like you said it was a very interesting job, you did enjoy what you did, but what was your like I got to get out of here moment, or this isn't for me, or what was that shift or changing point?
It was really interesting because after I graduated from college, my first job, a year in, I feel like in every job I've had, a year in, it's great. You have your honeymoon phase, you're meeting new team members and just kind of learning all the systems and processes of the company, um, and working with customers and clients and all of that. It's great until after the first year, then you really start to get settled in. And for me, I thought something was wrong with me because I had three jobs in my career. And
Okay.
after that first year of honeymoon stage, I would always get really depressed and just
Hmm.
you start to see the politics come out, you start to see those demands um and you start to work those really long nights, kind of
Hmm.
thing. And then a lot of times they start piling on work. And for me, I was just starting out. I was pretty junior and I was like,
Okay.
doing higher level jobs and doing more work than my pay grade. So I was getting burnt out and overwhelmed. And
Hmm.
that happened with every job that I was in. So I thought something was wrong with me. Like, am I not? I would hear from a lot of people, you should just be grateful you have a job because there are a lot of people who
Yeah.
don't have jobs. And
Hmm.
I graduated in 2008. That was during the recession. So a lot of people
Okay.
were telling me that.
Yeah.
Be happy you have a job because there's plenty of people who don't have jobs right now. So that was another layer of guilt on me. Like, oh, I
Mm.
should be grateful. I should be happy. But yet there's all these things that were really weighing me down. And so I was like so depressed. And I remember the Sunday night blues. Did you ever
Okay.
have that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, tomorrow's Monday. Great.
Yes. Yeah. Like it was so bad. I used to cry on my pillow
Oh,
the
geez.
night before I had to go into work on Monday. And I was just like, oh, it's just another week. another week of this brutal abuse kind of
Yep.
thing. And yeah, it was really tough. And I felt so stuck. And I this is just that stuckness feeling of like I should be grateful, I should be happy, I have a job, I have an income and a roof over my head, but this just isn't right.
Yep.
And I felt like over a decade, I was in the workforce for 12 years. This just kept hammering at me and
Hmm.
like it really affected who I was. And I think I'm a overall pretty happy person, but I just became this super negative person and
Hmm.
no one wanted to be around me. And I was just like always really grumpy. So
Yep.
that was my moment. That was my moment. And actually even beyond that moment was when I started a family and had kids.
Mm.
And that just affected me and how I showed up as a mother to my children. Because I was just, harboring so much negativity and
Mm.
I have these young kids who really need me. So um that really hit the nail on the head. Like, you've got to change something. Either
Yeah.
change your attitude or like change your attitude and just suck it up and just do it, or change your environment. And
Yeah.
so I tried both.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. So then, and ironic, you mentioned in the workforce for 12 years. I actually sold office equipment for 12 years, and I kind of got to the point, corporate culture, tired of the BS and very, very micromanaging. I think that was kind of the big
Yes.
thing for me that
Oh,
it's like,
yes.
just let me do my job. I know what I'm doing. Don't bog me down with meetings and forms and Excel spreadsheets and then wonder why I'm not outselling because I'm spending 40 hours a week on this crap. So,
Hmm.
but so
Yeah, I hear you.
2008, obviously, I had the Great Recession. You had just graduated, found a job. I've had the same thing too, almost guilt, like, oh, you should be thankful for this, even if it's a horrible job, at least you have a job, etc. But when or, what was, your next steps of, okay, I got to get out of here. I know you talked offline that you had your resignation letter kind of typed up 2 years before you actually gave it, but what were
Hmm.
the steps you took, and what was your path to get out of the W-2 or the rat race, so to speak?
Yeah, so I actually resigned in it was around August, September of 2020. And it was it was really tough. Even years before that. So 2018, I was pregnant with my second son
Okay.
and was just really not feeling it. The environment really was not good. I feel like even for me carrying a child. And I had my resignation letter in hand. I was about to give it to my manager and the HR contact at the time, but they actually said, you should just stick it out a little bit
Yeah.
and at least wait until after, you have your child.
Mm,
And I did,
yeah.
which in hindsight, I kind of wish I did it.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I stuck it out a little bit and what what I was really thankful for was, it was on top of that, my son was actually born with disabilities.
Mm,
Um, and he has microcephaly, and we realized that at the third trimester that, he wasn't developing normally.
mm,
And that was when I was like, okay, definitely I need to leave my job
yeah.
because now I have a bigger responsibility and we don't know how this happened.
Hmm.
Um, I have my assumptions, but you know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I just for me during that time was really difficult because there's work challenges, what I had learned about my son, and my older son was still very young at that time. He was, having difficulty transitioning into being a bigger brother.
Mm,
There's just a lot of weight on me that said, you have to change.
sure.
And so I took that as a sign and I started researching. I started researching ways for me to replace my income
Hmm.
um, and and have freedom of time. Because really working a W-2 job, you're trading your time for money. And you're going to work every day, 8 to 5 or 8 to 6, sometimes even longer than that,
Yep.
doing work for someone else, right? And you get a paycheck, and that's really
Hmm.
it.
Yep.
Um, And it doesn't matter how busy you are, how not busy you are, you still have to show up.
Hmm.
And so I was just like, I know this about me. I think I'm more project focused. And I do want days off. I would like to take sabbaticals if I needed to or wish to, and just kind of like work really hard for a short stint of time and then take a break kind of thing. Where I feel like if you work at W2, it's constant
Yeah.
unless you use your 2 weeks of vacation, which really isn't that
Yeah.
much time, right? It's really limited. And so I started doing some research and I landed on real estate investing. I had no idea this was a thing and that this was how people not just replace their income, but built long-term
Yeah.
wealth.
Hmm.
And so, like, every day, my mind was just blown with the information that I was receiving. So the first place that I went was Bigger Pockets,
Sure.
and just kind of filled my mind with podcasts, with books and webinars just to see how other people were doing it. I was like, what is this thing? Like
Hmm.
I was so compelled and intrigued by it. And so I made a plan. Um, before I quit, like really quit in 2020, in 2019, I committed myself. This was after my son was born. I said, I'm going to do this. There's no other choice. I'm going to leave my job and I'm going to replace my income somehow. And I'm going to buy back my time so that I can be there for my kids. And I was just doing the research. Yeah, and it took me about 10 months for me to one, listen to as many podcasts as I can just to
Yeah.
hear about how other people are doing it. Two, join a mentorship. At that time, I was focused on the BRRRR strategy, which stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. And I was
Yeah.
doing that for single family homes because I wanted to
Okay.
start small,
Sure.
and just kind of experiment and really learn the whole process of investing in real estate from start to finish. And I joined a mentorship program for the birth strategy, made some nice connections and friends, and just went all in.
Hmm.
So 20 September of 2020 came around and I left my job. That was it. At that same time, we actually sold our house. We were already under
Wow.
contract. We were closing at the end of September. It was an interesting time because I we had our kids down in North Carolina. This was during the pandemic. We're still in lockdown.
Okay,
Um,
sure.
we packed up our car. We drove from New York to North Carolina, dropped off my kids with my parents for a month, and we bought a duplex for us to house hack. So for me, I was thinking of a very elaborate plan. If we're down one income between my husband and I, just for risk mitigation, for us to offset our high cost of living expenses because New York is so expensive,
Yep.
we sold our house, traded it for a two family and house hacked it.
Mm.
And so we're not paying what 3, 4 thousand per month for housing.
Yeah.
We can rent out the other side and basically live at almost free or low
Nice.
cost. Um, so we did that. We also renovated the duplex at the same time. My husband and I, we actually subbed it out ourselves. Like we were acting as general contractors.
Okay.
Um, while my kids were with my parents, we just went full on 100%,
Wow.
right? And then we also bought our first investment property in Philadelphia at the same
Okay.
time. So we were doing three
Wow.
renovations in parallel. So when I said I was fully committed, this was the
Yeah.
only way, there was no other choice. I meant it.
Mhm. Right.
So, last day of work, I mailed in my laptop and then I hit the ground running with my real estate business.
Nice.
That's how
Okay.
it started.
So, and then obviously you had the house hack of the duplex. Are you still in that duplex, or have you
We
sold
are.
it? Or okay, gotcha. And then
Yeah.
renovate the other one, also a rental property in Philadelphia, and then you later on got into real estate syndication as well, or fundraising, or
Yes. So at the same time that I was doing all the active work, I discovered syndications. So
okay.
I was on LinkedIn. I didn't know who to talk with about investing in real estate. So I went on LinkedIn, searched real estate investor.
Sure.
And the first person that popped up was Margaret, who is now my business partner at
Oh,
Nobly
sure. Yeah.
West. Yeah, and I reached out to her. I'm like, this is what I want to do. And it's the funny thing is she's also in market research, and I came
Okay.
from the CPG background in similar market research for products. And so I think the algorithm had matched us together. And at the time, she's still now a real estate agent, and she was
Hmm.
also in syndications also. So I
Okay.
reached out to her, I sent her a message. I'm like, "Oh, would you be willing to talk with me about real estate? Because I don't know who to talk to about this." And she was so gracious. And she provided so much information. We became really good friends after that and met a few times for coffee and for lunch. And yeah, she pointed me to amazing resources. And at that time, she also told me, well, there's this other thing called syndications where you can invest passively. You're doing all the
Hmm.
active stuff. That's great. You're learning that. But if you want to do it hands off and still invest in real estate, there's this beautiful thing called real estate syndications where you buy large commercial assets together as a group. So I
Yep.
was like, oh, that's really interesting. So at the same time, you know, we sold our house, so we still had some extra capital remaining. I was like, oh, why don't I just use that to also invest passively at the same time? And that was the best decision ever because I had my money working for me multiple ways, my active side, passive side, and then alongside with that, both of them were the properties on both sides were getting depreciation benefits.
Yep.
And so because I left my job, became an active real estate professional as a full-time investor, I was able to offset a lot of my husband's income.
Ah.
And so it was just like, this was a no-brainer. Like,
Yep.
I'm kicking myself every day. Why didn't I do this sooner?
Hmm.
Because just the act of me leaving my W-2 job to become a real estate investor
Yeah.
replaced my income without without getting income from the properties yet. Just that act alone, being a full-time real estate professional,
Yeah.
saved me so much money because we were paying a lot of taxes. So I'm like, wait, so if I'm a real estate investor, I can offset my taxes. Is this really a thing? Again,
Yep.
my mind was blown. So like if you can imagine, my mind was just getting blown left and right. Um, that negativity and the drabness went away. I was just like rejuvenated with all these amazing things that you can do with investing in real estate. And I feel like I'm a whole different person now. Like
Hmm.
I'm revived just by the amazing things and opportunities it brings. And not just that, not just opportunities of making money and replacing your income, but also the impact towards your communities, to other people, to helping others, with the syndications, helping others also realize that there are other ways to expand and diversify their portfolios outside of the traditional investing of stocks and mutual funds of your 401k. There's other ways in alternative assets like real estate. So it's just like, mind blown.
Yeah. So,
It's so
yeah.
exciting to me.
Yeah. And for any of my listeners too, if this is, maybe your first time interested or, learning about real estate and wondering what exactly is a real estate professional or what is depreciation, feel free to check out my, additional videos on my YouTube channel, as well as on the Wealth and Freedom Nexus podcast, episode 30. I actually have a CPA that we really do a deep dive into what is a real estate professional. And this is more of the IRS's classification versus just say, well, I'm in real estate, I'm a professional. And like, yeah, there's more to it than that. So,
Yes, there
so
really is. Yeah, yeah. And I do want to caveat, I am not a tax professional. So
yeah.
certainly refer back to those other podcasts where it is a tax professional talking more about it. So
Exactly. So,
yeah.
all
Mhm.
right. So then, well, you already mentioned, September 2020 was your, freedom. Did you know your specific day? Do you know like whatever, September 17th or whatever was your exact freedom
Yeah.
day or?
I think it was the end of, I think it was like August 31st
Oh,
or
okay.
something like that. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any, I know you mentioned obviously, the negativity, the corporate culture, crying, Sunday before the Monday blues and so on and so forth. But, beside all that, any, regrets or anything you do miss from your W-2 job from a little over 2 years ago?
I really don't have
Okay.
any. Yeah, my regret was not leaving in 2018
Gotcha.
with my original letter.
Okay. So,
Yes, yeah. But it's okay. You know, it all worked out and I am where I am for a reason.
hmm,
Um and I think also my corporate career was good too because I learned so much from it. There's a lot of skills that you learn from working a career job.
hmm,
Skills like networking, critical thinking skills, organizational skills, building systems and processes is huge. And
okay.
that's something that I've certainly adopted into my own business. Even tools that they use, like project management, all of that. So it's certainly I know I don't speak positively about my W-2 experience, but it is at the end of the day, I'm very grateful for it too.
hmm,
Um, because not all things that we're grateful for are positive things. It really gives us it's usually the negative things that teach us the biggest lessons in life
right.
that we get the most out of. So, I'm grateful for the people that I've met in my career job and just the opportunities that I've had there. Like aside from kind of the pain points, it's definitely something, if I'm not saying that everyone needs to skip out on a job and just become an entrepreneur or an investor.
hmm,
There's different things for everyone. And I think just for me, it took me those 12 years to discover that this wasn't a right fit for me. But
right.
even from that lesson, I was able to really learn a lot from it and make great relationships along the way as well.
Sure, makes sense. So, what's been obviously we're on 2 years now, and like I said, your only regret was you didn't do it sooner. But what's been the,
Mhm.
best part, of your journey since you mailed in that laptop and say, I'm done, and you went, hit the ground running as a full-time real estate investor?
Um, Gosh, it's definitely control of time.
Okay.
That's the best part is I can control if, I want to move faster in my business and acquire more properties.
Mm-hmm.
And even this past summer was challenging because my kids, didn't have a consistent schedule. So I took a
Sure.
step back a little bit. I said, I'm going to do less deals
Mm-hmm.
and just focus on my family. So I'm able to do that. And I don't
Good.
have a manager or a job saying, no, you can't because we have deadlines and agendas for you.
Yep.
I'm setting my own deadlines and agendas for myself. And sometimes life gets in the way. Not
Mhm.
that it gets in the way, but life happens, right? Life
Right.
happens. And sometimes deadlines are missed, but it's okay. It just means I move a little bit slower. Doesn't mean I'm not on the track still. But I have the control over that. And, really at the end of the day, I'm only upsetting myself
Sure.
because I'm my own manager at the end of the day. So, it's okay. That's the best thing is having control over time.
Okay. Yeah, I think I and can definitely appreciate that as well. I still remember very vividly one of my maybe it was about 6 months or so before I left my W-2. We had to go to the regional office, which for me is a 3 hour round trip, and it was
Mm.
for an hour meeting. And my first thought was like, A, this could have easily been done by Zoom. B,
Yes.
I just spent 3 times the amount of time driving to this stupid thing than I
Hmm.
actually did. And really, an entire day was wasted just to appease the big wigs. And, like you said, just control of time, time freedom. I think that's probably the biggest thing for, any of us entrepreneurs. So, but,
Right.
Christine, anyone, if anyone's listening to this and maybe, they feel like, they were in your shoes or my shoes, now, or, have just, I don't know, have the, Sunday blues or just really don't, aren't passionate about their job, but just maybe don't feel confident enough or, uh, just don't feel like they can take that step of, all right, I'm mailing in my laptop or turning in a resignation or whatever. They just feel stuck. They can't take that next step. What advice or what would you say to any of those people that are in that situation?
Yeah. So I know for me, there were two paths, and I referenced to it before. Either when you feel something in your heart that something isn't right, it is God or the universe telling you, yes, something needs to change.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have two paths. You can either change your mindset or you can change your environment.
Okay.
And so really you have a choice to make. I feel like that feeling inside of you, for me, it was the Sunday blues and the depression, all of that stuff, anxiety. That was my crossroads. I needed to make a decision. So, if this is you and you're really feeling that, I just want to encourage you that, we're here on this earth. Everyone has a reason and a purpose. And sometimes it's not following the traditional path of just working a job and retiring and that's it kind of thing. There's more to it. So if you're really feeling that, I think there is something else out there that is calling to you. So listen to that voice. Don't be afraid. It is, I granted it is, it's scary. It's
Yep.
scary to do something different. And it's your livelihood, it's your income, it's what supports your life. But don't be afraid because what's the worst thing that can happen? You find another job, right?
Yep.
Or you go back to your job.
Uh-huh.
If you're really having those feelings, follow that voice and
Yep.
really start digging, start asking yourself, like, why am I feeling this way? What can I do? And maybe start, talking to others. Surround yourself with people who have done it.
Hmm.
Um, who might have experience there to encourage you and really help you and guide you, into a different path. So
Yep.
that's my advice. I think we all have a purpose beyond just ourselves in
Hmm.
this world. Um, and once you live out that purpose, you will start to see amazing fulfillment
Hmm.
and really clouds opening up, sunshine rays over you, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this life, this world is beautiful.
Yeah.
And for me, that those dark clouds kind of prevented me from seeing all of that. So that's my advice.
Oh, very cool. So, and now maybe as a final topic, and maybe I'll come up with something more creative later on, but I just kind of call it the soapbox moment, so to speak. But here we are, towards the tail end of 2022. What are you currently working on? What are your plans for 2023? How can people reach out to you? What all do you want to share with all the listeners?
Yes, absolutely. So when I started doing this investing thing, I got a lot of people's attention, like friends, family. They're like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I told you I'm going to replace my income," and you can too. You can create yourself another stream of income, passive income. If you like your job, that's amazing. Keep your job.
Yeah.
Um, but diversify your investments. So now I have diversified outside of just my single family rental properties. I'm also doing the syndications, which is group investing. It's a
Mm.
team of people coming together. When you have folks, high performing folks coming together doing, one thing together, it's
Hmm.
amazing. So, we would love for you to join our team. If you're interested in real estate and you don't want to deal with the tenants and the toilets and termites, all of that, um, we have deals and opportunities for you to be a passive investor, and we have a pretty busy pipeline built out for the end of the year in 2020, which is the last year to take advantage of 100% bonus depreciation if
Yeah.
tax savings is in your books. So you can reach out to me if you're interested in having a conversation. We don't just want to share our deals. We want to get to know you. We love to build
Hmm.
relationships with people who are passionate about real estate
Sure.
and just, curious to learn more. So
Mhm.
reach out. You can find me on LinkedIn. And also our website is noblivest.com. It's NOBLIVEST. If you join our investor club, we have a lot of great educational materials. If syndications is new to you, we have education materials, we have webinars that happen monthly, and we also have opportunities. So,
Very cool. So, well, thanks for sharing that. And I myself, like we talked off camera, I'm interested in investing in one of your funds. I'm just waiting for some capital to be freed up in my self-directed retirement account to do so.
yeah, yeah, that's great. that's a great thing too, is you're always cycling your
Yeah.
capital. So
Yeah, exactly. Just
put it
having it
into
sitting in a
different.
savings account earning, well, I think I just got an alert from Ally. They just bumped it to 2.2%, but inflation's 9. So
Yeah.
hey, we're
It's
not as far behind as we were before. So
a little bit better, a
yeah,
little
exactly.
bit.
So all right. Well, I won't take up any more of your time, Christine. Thanks again. This has been great to have you on the show, and I certainly look forward to seeing what you and your partner Margaret bring with Nobly Vest in the future in the 2023.
Awesome. Thank you again for having me. It's a fun conversation.